Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ringside Cinema. And today we are going to be talking about the breaking news from earlier today as AEW has announced the All In location for next year's event and why it has led to speculation that WWE may be running a show, specifically SummerSlam, at Wembley Stadium next year. So, before we get into all that though, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button as I produce weekly content here on this channel. And sorry for the lack of content this week, but I am going to be going to All in London next week. So I've been doing a lot of packing and getting things ready for my trip, as I am looking forward to my very first international wrestling event. And let's get into All In next year, as the announcement was made today at Globe Life Field, the home of the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions. And I gotta say, I like the logo for this. I really do. You know, the belt buckle. Uh, it's in the Rangers colors. I like that. It's cool that they're finally branching out, because I feel like AEW has been, for far too long, they've been comfortable in their safe space, so to speak. They've been sticking to the same cities, and I'm hoping that maybe, and I know Tony Khan has already said that All In will be going back to London in 2026, which I will get to that in a minute and why that may mean SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium next year. But I do think that All In should, at least, if that's going to be their WrestleMania, this needs to be moving to different places, different stadiums around the world, and also, take Double or Nothing, take All Out, take Revolution, take all your shows, put them into different markets. If you really still want that casino feel for Double or Nothing, I mean, AEW Double or Nothing Texas Hold'em was right there. You could have put Double or Nothing in Texas. You could go to Atlantic City. You still have the gambling aspect of it. Same thing with All Out. I think you have to move that around. Take that out of Chicago. I want to see AEW taking these major shows, branching them out into other cities, other countries, and really kind of do what WWE is doing right now, which is really taking their shows and putting them on wherever they want to go. I mean, whatever country is paying them, and country, city, whatever, that's where they're going to put the show. So I'm happy to see that All In is moving to a different venue other than London. But then I'm also disappointed that it's going to go back to London in 2026, as I feel like you could start branching out a little bit more. But let's read a little bit into this press release here. Arlington Mayor Jim Ross, the Texas Rangers, and no, that's not the wrestling commentator Jim Ross. It's just a coincidence. Texas Rangers, REV Entertainment, Arlington Sports Commission, and All Elite Wrestling Today announced that Globe Life Field will host AEW All In Texas on Saturday, July 12th. The event will air live around the world on pay-per-view and marks the first time an AEW pay-per-view event has been held in Texas. And again, I go back to what I just said. AEW needs to branch out their shows to different venues, different states, different cities. AEW's been around for 5 or 6 years at this point, and this is the very first pay-per-view in Texas. So, again, the desire for wrestling in 2024 is there. I think Tony Khan just needs to take advantage of that. See what WWE is doing and branch out. On behalf of everyone in AEW, we are ecstatic to bring AEW All In Texas to Globe Life Field in Arlington on July 12th, 2025. Now again, remember that date in just a little bit. AEW All In Texas will make history as both our first ever pay-per-view in Texas as well as AEW's American Stadium debut. Now I'll be honest, I thought the American Stadium debut would have been at the Jaguar Stadium, but I'm happy to see that it's elsewhere. Building on the rich legacy of stadium wrestling events held in the U.S., particularly in the Lone Star State. We are thrilled for Arlington to partner with All Elite Wrestling for their biggest event of 2025, said Arlington Mayor Jim Ross. Again, not to be confused by wrestling commentator Jim Ross. Fans from around the world will converge on our beautiful city to be a part of AEW All In Texas, delivering a significant economic windfall to the region. Blah, blah, blah. And also, in addition, AEW All In, a series of events in Arlington are being planned leading up to the event. Additional details will be announced in the near future. This year, AEW All In London takes place next Sunday, August 25th, live from Wembley Stadium. So, again, we're seeing it this year where AEW has that deal with Arlington to do a series of events this year. So they're going to do the same thing next year, but leading up to All In. So, again, I think this is great news for AEW. I think, for the AEW is dead. They can't draw, anymore. For that crowd, they're probably disappointed. But, again, if you're a wrestling fan, you want to see all companies thrive. Because competition makes everything better. And we've seen that over the last 5 or 6 years. Now, speaking of competition, let's talk about competition, the WWE. Because it's interesting that this is a 1-year deal, and it's a one-off deal, and then it goes back to London in 2026. Now, coincidentally, WWE has already announced Summerslam to be taking place in Minnesota in 2026. They have not yet announced the 2025 location, and we do know that Triple H and Nick Khan were in London recently discussing WrestleMania. And there was talks that potentially 2027 may be WrestleMania at Wembley Stadium. But are they going to get a test run with SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium next year? Because again, the date for this show is July 12th, and usually SummerSlam is in August. And again, they've usually been able to coincide where we've had SummerSlam at the beginning of the month. All In would be at the end of August. And again, All In was in London the last 2 years, and we've seen SummerSlam in the beginning of the month in the States. So it has led to many fan speculation that WWE is running Wembley Stadium next year, and if AEW had to move their show to July, that tells me that maybe for the first time since 1992, because again, that was the last time that WWE has run a major show at Wembley Stadium. SummerSlam 1992, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, that next year we are going to see SummerSlam London. Will there be a 2-night event? Because we do know SummerSlam is going to be a 2-night event in Minnesota in 2026. So, are we going to see the first 2-night SummerSlam coming to London, coming to Wembley Stadium next year? Because to me, if All In is moved to July, why would they have to move it from Wembley? I mean, again, I think AEW needed to move it anyway, but just moving it to July, that's a little suspicious to me. I think we're going to get a Wembley Stadium SummerSlam next year. That is, I think, based off of this announcement today from AEW. What do you guys think? Comment below. Do you think SummerSlam in 2025 will be at Wembley Stadium? Do you see a connection between the fact that AEW All In is going to be in July next year? Are you going to attend the event? Comment below, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow right here on this channel, as I will discuss a major potential surprise debut of Bobby Lashley and what the Hurt Business might look like in AEW if he shows up at this year's All In. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers the heroes we know. Ringside forever bold. Wrestling never gets old.